What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Erasure, and we're returning to Loveboat 2000. And I wanted to once again start by giving a shout out to Dan, who's continued to go through some of the older Erasure reactions and provide comments. And in fact, one of your comments recently made me smile because you were saying that Miracle was maybe your least favorite or one of your least favorites on I Say, but you still liked it. And I totally get that, both in general and more specifically, meaning I completely know what it's like to enjoy an album a great deal, and if you're forced to pick or rank your favorites on the album, there are inevitably a few which would end up at the bottom of that list, and yet you could still very much enjoy them. And more specifically, I do enjoy Miracle and its place on that album, even if I also would consider a handful of songs on that superior. So yes, I did enjoy that comment. In any case, the next tune here on Loveboat is Crying in the Rain. So my first thought is like, wait, is this also a cover of the Everly Brothers, or I think it was originally written by Carole King, which I only say that because I'm fond of Aha and their version of Crying in the Rain, which when I first reacted to it, I wasn't aware of the Everly Brothers original, so I didn't know it was a cover, but I've since come to understand that, which is a bit funny because growing up, my mom was fond of the Everly Brothers and she used to listen to them a lot, excuse me, but I don't think that song was part of her playlist. In any case, I did check on the master release for Loveboat on Discogs, and it just gives songwriting credits to Clark Bell. So I'm assuming this is an Erasure original, which just so happens to share a title with, let's say, an older and quite famous song. So yeah, I'm going to go into it with that expectation. If melodically it sounds similar, or if it features lines identical to that other version of the song, then I suppose I'll try to catch that in the moment. Hello, Luca. But yes, let's give it a listen. This is Erasure. The tune is Crying in the Rain, which, as I said, I think is an original by Vince and Andy, and it's from their 2000 album Loveboat. Oof. Wicked.
I see it's all in the name of love. Everybody hurts when you play in the game of love. Everybody hurts. Tear it apart, and it's all in the name of love. Everybody hurts when you play in the game of love. Everybody hurts. Stumble and fall, and it's all in the name of love.
Like that echoed end. So yeah, like first things first, I think that is a different track, though I'll do my crying in the rain. That is like the refrain or the chorus from the Everly Brothers slash Aha tune. But other lines here I don't think match up. So as far as I know, it is an original composition or song, but yeah, seemingly the way the title phrase is used is identical to that other version. So I don't know, maybe it's a song that is original but takes its inspiration in terms of that sentiment and that visual, right? Because as I talked about in the Aha reactions, like plural, but probably especially the first one, the album version of the tune, you know, crying in the rain, your emotions are being masked, which is to say, if you're crying and it's bright and sunny and everyone can see the moisture coming down your cheeks, then it's clear, oh, like he's crying. Whereas if it's in the rain, you're getting cover. It's not immediately obvious that you're crying, so you might be able to hide that fact or at least have plausible deniability. So yes, it seems like the title phrase was similar to or synonymous with the other version of the song, but I think the rest of it was different, right? Unless I'm insane. In any case, sonically, that's fascinating because it's like part dissonant trip hop, especially the opening has a real dissonant tension to it, and then the beat comes in and it doesn't sound like bright, bubbly synth pop like a lot of their tunes. Now, to be fair, over the albums I've gone through, there's been a variety, and when I went through the 95 self-titled album, that had these expansive and somewhat ambient soundscapes, even if it still sounded like Erasure synth pop. And then again, Cowboy kind of moved back into like a catchier, melody-driven synth pop sound. But yeah, this one had more dissonance and a more of a wicked sound than most Erasure tunes I've heard. And then in the latter half, it broke down completely, and it had this again ambient scope to it, and there was that trailing echoed whistle sound, and it almost became like synth pop art, like less than a catchy tune with a snappy beat. So yeah, there was some different flavors to this one along the way, and overall I would say it's anomalous within their catalog. It is outside what you would expect a typical Erasure song to be, which is by no means bad, but definitely the wicked edgy character of the Sonics and the trip hop feel of the first couple minutes really struck my ear, notably because it is not like a lot of their other songs. So yeah, it seemed to be saying that, look, when you play this game of love, everyone's going to end up hurting. It's, you might hurt now, someone else might hurt later, you might hurt in different ways or to different degrees, but if you put your heart out there, if you get involved in romance and intimacy and physical, sexual passion, at some point you're going to get hurt. Everyone's going to get hurt. That's just kind of the nature of this game. So it feels very on brand for Andy in terms of songwriting. So yeah, it feels like a perfect sentiment for an Erasure tune, even if the title phrase and the way it's used here, I think, does line up with the other tune. I suppose I could check quickly enough in these days of the internet where you can ask questions and AI algorithms give you answers. And nope. Okay, so yeah, it's basically saying nope, 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 it is not. Yep, and I was right, that Carole King was the original writer. Oh, and Howard Greenfield they were the writers of the one that the Everly Brothers made famous. But yes, this is a different song. But I find it interesting, though, that phrase, I do my crying, or I'll do my crying in the rain, did sync up in that way. So I guess it's just too perfect of a visual / conceptual way to hide the fact that you're deeply emotional. It's just too perfect to pass up. In any case, I enjoyed it, again, in part because it's a bit anomalous. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.